China was the place where you met Prime Minister Modi for the first time, if I'm not wrong. And you mentioned about your career as a diplomat. We all are curious, and this question is being posed to you every time, but still we also want to know in little more deeper manner. How does he work on the subjects like foreign policy? And what is different about PM Modi, because you have worked with many other prime ministers?
You know, how does he work on foreign policy? He has a lot of interest, I must tell you. And not just now. I mean, I first met him in 2011. In 2011, he was there for a few days. I was then in China as ambassador. I found him very interested, very insightful, but very willing to learn. So it was a mix of all of that. And since then, last 10 years, I travel a lot with him. When I travel with him also, a lot of his travels are constantly trying to understand, okay, वहाँ क्या हो रहा है, इन्होंने कैसे किया, what is new here. So he's constantly looking, you can say like a best practices, because he's a very, someone very committed to building India, but at the same time very technology friendly, very open-minded, always willing to see, okay, what is it, how is it, somebody has done something, which he can then in some way apply out here. So I find him a very, he's a person with great curiosity and a great, very open to this willingness to learn new things. In terms of how overall foreign policy has happened, he gives a lot of time to it, because today it is a globalized world.
Sorry, let me ask this question again. For example, the way he came up with a clear thought on what he's going to do as a country on Russia-Ukraine war, that actually makes us wonder that many a times he is much more strategic, very bold, and sometimes he astonishes us by his understanding of the global politics.
Well, you could say that. I may not say it now in 2023, because I've seen in last 10 years that he clearly has a very strong understanding of global politics, so it doesn't astonish me. So, but it's a good example you gave. Just that one sentence. ये युद्ध का युग नहीं है. Which basically that this is not an era of conflict. I mean, this is what he said when he was meeting President Putin in Samarkand. I mentioned to you because, in a way, if I were to take a single sentence of global sentiment, see, global sentiment today does not envisage conflict or war as a solution, because it has so many consequences for everybody's life. So, I would say he, in that one sentence, articulated what were the views of very diverse countries. So, my take, very honestly, is here is a person, because, see, to be very honest, I met him for the first time in 2011. I got to know him really well only after I became Foreign Secretary. I did not know how much he had traveled before, what his experiences were, how much he had picked up, what his connections were. I mean, I'm still amazed at the people that he knows, the places that he's been. He will say, I remember, acha main wahan gaya tha, mera wo anubhav tha. So, there is a lot to him which perhaps only those who know him well really get. Now, since I've had the privilege of working for the last 10 years, I can say, okay, I know him a little bit better than I did 10 years ago. So there is a lot of, for him, interest in the world. I mean, if you look even at the way we've handled G20, look at our motto, the idea of one family, of one future. Look at the fact that we consulted 125 people. I mean, we did our presidency. We are doing our presidency in a truly global manner. That today, you actually have someone who's thought this through and said, when I go out there, I'm not only speaking for 1.4 billion Indians, but I'm also speaking for 125 other countries, because they're not on the table and they need somebody to speak for them.